Hello everyone. So the goal of this video is to understand muscle names. So your learning target is to just identify muscles or groups of muscles. All right, so I'm going to look at some of these more common muscle names. All right, and even some of these aren't necessarily individual muscles. Some of them are groups of muscles. For example, the quadriceps. It's actually four separate muscles, but we commonly refer to them as the quadriceps. Now, I will just take a step back and say these are just a few muscles. And if you were pursuing a career in exercise physiology, physical therapy, occupational therapy, um, personal training. These are probably just like the very basics that you would definitely need to know, and then there's probably way more that you should know. Okay, but for our intents and purposes, this will suffice. So I'm going to go over a few of these common muscles and talk about their function. So let's start with the top left. So we have the trapezius, or sometimes called the traps. So if you are familiar with like the gym weightlifting community, sometimes these are just called the traps. People will often do like shoulder shrugs to work these muscles. But really what you're doing when you're shrugging your shoulders is the traps control your scapula. So you might remember that your scapula is your shoulder blade. So your trapezius is controlling the scapula. You have your deltoids or your delts. Those are just the muscles on your shoulder. The pectorals, or sometimes called the pecs, those are your chest muscles. Biceps, those are a favorite in the gym community, but biceps are, the muscles right here. And so bi means two, right? You think like a bicycle. So biceps, there's actually two muscles that make up the biceps. All right, moving down, we have the rectus abdominis, and that's just a fancy way of saying your abs. So when we say abs, we're just really focusing on those two letters of the name. Rectus, when you think of rectus, you can think of something that's like standing up. So these muscles really support us when we are standing up. Obliques, obliques kind of run at a diagonal, and they are, when we talk about our core muscles, our, our abs and our obliques are common muscles that we are usually talking about when we talk about our core. You might remember that an oblique break in a bone runs at an angle, and that's very similar to what these muscles are doing on the side of our body. All right, we have the quadriceps. Like I mentioned, these are actually four different muscles, but these are the groups of muscles right on the front of our thigh and cause leg extension. All right, just remember quad. Quad means four, so we have four muscles there. All right, moving over to the back, we've talked about these already. Triceps. So triceps are like the opposite of biceps. Or when I say opposite, I mean they're on the back of the arm as opposed to the front of the arm. So triceps, and again, tri, like a tricycle, tri means three, and there's actually three separate muscles in your triceps. We have the latissimus dorsi, or in common terms, we just call these lats, but these are like these big muscles on your back. Again, we see the obliques, the erector spinae. Erector, again, think of it like erect, something that's standing up, and then spinae is related to the spine. So these are muscles that really can control our spine and make sure that we are standing up straight. Gluteus maximus. There's actually a couple muscles in this area, but the maximus is the one that is bigger. So when you think about max, think about the biggest one. And then we have our hamstrings. Our hamstrings are actually two separate muscles. You can see there's one here and then there's one here. All right. Semitendinosus and biceps femoris. Again, there's a lot of muscles. There might be like 600 muscles in our body. You don't need to know all of them, but I think this will suffice. And then the last one I'll talk about is the gastrocnemius. All right, and those are typically what we might call our calf muscles. You actually have another muscle deep down there called the soleus, but the gastrocnemius is a little bit bigger and a little bit more prominent on the calf. So those are just a few basic muscles. If you are interested, I encourage you to know many more muscles. I mean, some of them are very big, and like the ones what we just talked about here are very big, but then you have a bunch of of other small muscles all over your body. You have ones that are much deeper than the ones that I'm showing you. The ones I'm showing you are superficial. Remember those anatomy terms. So superficial are ones that are closer to the surface, but there are muscles that are deeper to the ones that I'm showing you right now. Um, and I encourage you to maybe look at some images to see what those muscles are. But we'll pause here and then I'll have you just practice using these words and practice identifying which muscle is where on the body.